Krung steps onto the beach and starts a new day early in the morning like other fishermen. Although he doesn't work as a deep-sea fisherman anymore, he still watches the ships heading for the open sea and those docking on shore. This is a daily routine for people around the sand dune. The coast of Central Vietnam is over 10,000 kilometres long. Almost all of the coastal inhabitants living along the seashore of this region are primarily dependent on resources of the Eastern Sea. In Thừa Thiên Huế province, over 1 billion Vietnam dong has been invested in Hai Duong and Phu Thuan communes by local governments for the construction of a sea wall for the purpose of disaster risk reduction in this area. This is in order to prevent damage caused by the storms and typhoons from the Eastern Sea, of which there are approximately 12 annually. Like other coastal provinces in Vietnam, communities living along the coastline of Thừa Thiên Huế province suffer from natural disasters every year, and villagers understand the effects natural disasters have on people's livelihoods here. According to Pacific Disaster Centre statistical data, there were over 25 typhoons which directly hit Vietnam between 2000 and 2012. Under climate change, typhoons are becoming more intense and seriously threaten the livelihoods of coastal villages. In addition, in central Vietnam, where high rainfall constantly leads to flooding, villages suffer from poverty caused by disasters. To the constructed seawall, there is also protection against storm destruction provided by sand dunes, which are regarded as a natural border separating the ocean and people. It plays a crucial role in maintaining people's livelihoods in this area. Sand dunes consist of smooth sand with a grain diameter between 0.2 and 2 millimeters. The sand will be dry when the tide is out and hot under the sun. The process of dune formation begins with a steady onshore wind, which has the capacity to move sand into piles. Eventually, the sand pile becomes so steep that the leeward side of the sand pile collapses under its own weight and spills down at an angle that serves to stabilize the dune. Over time, the dune migrates in the direction of the wind, as the wind moves sand up the dune slope and over the edge. The sand dunes are approximately 15 to 30 metres above sea level, with a width of 0.5 to 7 kilometres, which gradually narrows and often meets an estuary that separates two sand dunes. formation of sand dunes or sea walls through the gradual deposition of sand has been ongoing for many centuries. The most obvious evidence for this long history is that Phu Dien Champa Temple, dating back to the 5th century, was found in 2001, 15 metres under the surface of the sand dune. Sand dunes not only geographically separate people living behind the dunes and those living on top, but they have also contributed to the development of different local customs. The people who live behind the sand dunes lead peaceful lives. They spend their time on daily activities such as fishing, farming and commercial activities, as well as education and entertainment. All villagers seem busy and hardworking. Meanwhile, people living on top of the sand dunes are predominantly dependent on coastal resources to earn their living. Sometimes they go down the sand dunes to shop or interact with other local people who live behind the dunes. Everyone can exchange their goods, such as fish they have caught or vegetables they have planted. Dunes also play a role as reservoirs of underground water, providing fresh water for domestic and farming activities. Local people live behind the dunes, and the main income-generating activities of these local people are fishing on Tam Giang Lagoon and the Eastern Sea, paddy rice production, crop cultivation, and managing home guards. Sand dunes play a critical role as a sea wall, providing a windbreak for the villages, fields, and the people behind them. According to Mr. Tran Se, a local villager of Quang Kom commune, when he was 15 years old, the sand from the dunes was often a threat to people's lives and livelihoods, as clear cutting of flora systems on the dunes led to wind erosion which buried fields and villages in sand. Thanks to many forest plantation programs in recent decades, casuarina, acacia and other indigenous tree species have been restored. Some 50% of bare land on the sandy dunes has been recovered. Wind erosion is no longer a threat to villages and agricultural land. Fresh water from the dunes is sufficient for the needs of the local people. Historically, the dunes were covered by indigenous forests. Over time, due to many factors such as war and firewood collection, large areas of native forests were cleared and the dunes became bare land. In recent decades, local people have learnt about the role of vegetation in the sand dune system, and they now protect it by replanting trees. Vegetation on sand dunes plays a role in controlling wind erosion, restoring the water resource, as well as creating a stable ecosystem. Most species on the dunes are drought-resistant varieties such as Lycia, Syzygium, Garcinia, Ipomoea, and cactus. Species of Casuarina, Acacia, and Eucalyptus have been introduced to the sand dunes in recent decades. Beneath the tree canopy, native plants and fauna, such as the Leiolpus, are returning. Although sand dunes play a vital role in protecting people's lives and agricultural activities behind the dunes, they are vulnerable to the unsustainable interference of humans, and local people should continue to protect them.